Every freedom-loving citizen loves a giant mech suit. And while the mechs afforded to Helldivers ain't the most intimidating of robot suits, they make up for it with blistering firepower and far more armor than we can feasibly strap on a Helldiver. My name is Commissar Kai, and today we're going to be applying some real-world military tactics to give our enemies a taste of how humanity conducts mechanized warfare. But first, let's get to know our mech suits.
Shrieker's behind you. Oh my god. Okay, I know it's a minigun, but like, damn.
Yeah. We have access to two flavors of mech suit to lead our armored spearhead, and both have practical applications across all theaters of war. Both versions of the mech are mainly covered in medium armor, so taking shots to the torso is unlikely to do significant damage to you, even on the bot front. The bots do have some weapons that can take out your mech suit in one go, but we'll cover them later. Your arms and legs are only lightly armored, so your limbs are much more vulnerable to small arms fire or ankle biters nibbling at your toes. Finally, both versions of the mech do damage simply by moving around. You can trample through hordes of Oatless and squash those hunters beneath your freedom-loving feet. Just be warned, this also applies to Helldivers.
Kai, you're just a torso.
That happens a lot of times.
You're dead.
You also have access to a melee attack, which is both funny and practical. And now let's get into what y'all really care about, the guns. The EXO-45 Patriot exosuit comes equipped with 1,000 rounds of medium armor-penetrating bullets for its Gatling gun, and 14 75mm armor-piercing rockets for its launcher. The minigun is basically an extremely pissed-off MG-43, while its rockets are slightly better versions of the ones fired out of the Commando. For those that are interested, Commando rockets are AP6 and deal 1,100 damage, while the Patriot's souped-up rockets deal a little bit more at AP6 and 1,250 damage. I'm not sure if this lets it hit any significant breakpoints, but I do know that it can one-tap an Impaler if you hit him in that sweet spot. Otherwise, it basically feels like firing a Commando with 14 shots. This makes it a decent all-rounder vehicle since it's perfectly capable of taking on armor and scything down the hordes of light and medium armored enemies. You do need to be a bit conscious of your ammo conservation if you don't want to run dry too early, but we have a fix for this in our team play strategy. If you'd rather have your armored support come equipped with a bit more concentrated firepower, then the EXO-49 Emancipator exosuit is for you. It comes with two twin-linked 40mm autocannons. Whew, sweet liberty, I'm getting all hot and bothered.
We also got a Shrieker nest right beyond it, be aware.
Shrieker nest, you say?
Oh, yes, sir, I did that. Right.
This ain't that little pea shooter we carry around on our backs. This thing is much more akin to the autocannon sentry, dealing 300 projectile damage at AP5, so we can dance with even the toughest of armor, and a further 150 explosive damage. This particular brand of firepower is extremely well suited for taking on dang near anything you put in front of it. The explosive AoE combined with the direct impact damage enables it to quickly put down big targets if you unload on them, or you can take your time and pick your shots to obliterate hordes. Both mechs fit the theme of the take-all-comers style, but the EXO-49 allows you to reduce the amount of thinking required on the battlefield. Instead of deciding whether a target needs a rocket to the face or a fusillade of Gatling gun rounds, you can just lay on the trigger and let those four beautiful autocannons do all of Liberty's talking. Now that you know what our armored support can do, let's talk about how we're going to use them. The mechs have traditionally had a giant glaring weakness whenever they took to the field, and that was being limited to just 2 call-ins per mission. But with the war going sideways, Command has authorized us to bring an extra one along. But even with 3 call-ins, it can still be tricky to know when to deploy your armor. Plus, sometimes fate just kicks you in the Liberty Bells and your mech is going to get destroyed by all kinds of random crap. So to fix that problem, we're going to have our entire squad bring a mech suit. But here's the catch. We're only going to have 1 to 2 pilots. Now, I know what y'all might be thinking. Why would I give up my stratagem slots so that someone else can have fun? And I hear you on that one, Cadet. That's why our mech pilots are going to be picking up the support weapons for the entire squad. They'll be spending the entire mission inside their armored sarcophagus anyway.
Face me, demon of metal!
Get rid of that one.
Bring me to the slaughter!
So they won't need their stratagem slots for much else.
I went to go grab the resupply out of habit. I've not fired a single bullet.
You what? Alright, cadets, it's time for Freedom School. I never served in the vanilla Earth military, so I asked a genuine Marine to give me the basics of how armored cavalry and infantry squads are supposed to work. The general idea is that big vehicles with big guns are scary, so they tend to draw a lot of attention. For this reason, they'll be at the head of our formation. and to reduce the amount of Helldivers flattened by the feet of freedom. But even the meanest machine can still be turned into scrap in a heartbeat, so it's going to need infantry to support it. Our infantry is going to fan out in a roughly diamond-shaped formation. We'll have 2 gunners on either side of the mech, equipped with horde-clearing ordnance, so grenade launchers, autocannons, and machine guns. It's these Helldivers' job to put anything getting close to our mechs straight into Liberty's gas tank, and to split off to clear objectives whenever the action starts to die down. Our final Helldiver is going to be our squad leader and AT specialist. They're going to bring things like sentries to secure our rear and our flanks, and a really big gun to take out those Titans, Factory Striders, and Harvesters. Aside from humbling the bigger enemies of humanity, the squad leader needs to keep their eye on the minimap to look for any incoming patrols and to decide where the team should go next.
Squad leader, where are we going? Remember, that's your job. You're telling us.
Right. We'll take this nest.
Take nest. Copy that.
If you've struggled with taking on level 10 missions, this setup is fantastic. It gives you a clear role to play and a very good visual in the mech to center yourself around. It's important not to panic in combat.
I'm going back in. Well, actually, wait, don't step on me! Don't step on me! Ah! Okay, we're fine.
But if you do find yourself suddenly wearing brown pants, you can always look to your mech to bolster your fighting spirit and to tell you where the hell you should be. Aside from putting holes in our enemies, our mech pilot also needs to keep track of their ammo and which teammates have their mech available. When you find yourself running dry, you need to be the one to call out to the Helldiver with the next mech you want to use. The battlefield ain't exactly the most accommodating to our pretty little formation, so you will need to adapt to whatever's being thrown your way. For example, if you find yourself getting surrounded by fascist animals, the whole squad is going to need to move to retain our formation. This part is easier if the mech pilot takes control of the situation, since they are far and away the most visible.
S2, I want you to start moving that way. We're going to rotate as a unit, because we want to get around this breach so we can go deal with stalkers.
Moving up.
Follow
Gas
suit.
grenade on stalker in play here.
I see the stalker.
I got him.
Okay.
Find a good spot to rotate out of the surround, and then rally your team back to their positions while you lay on the covering fire. This strategy is very easy to execute if you have a full team on comms, or at least one that's willing to cooperate and give it a try.
That's not the easiest freaking raise the flag you've ever
That
done.
was that was a little solid. I gotta say that felt a little clean. I don't know.
It's not likely to work in a random game, but if y'all know a good way to make that happen, let me know in the comments. This is really just to give y'all a fun and different way to play Helldivers with your buddies. If you don't have 3 friends to give this a shot, then consider enlisting in my Division of Commandos by clicking the link to the Discord in the description of this video. We have over 10,000 dedicated Helldivers that embrace the spirit of team play and cooperation, and we'd be happy to add you to our ranks. Now let's get on to the specifics of how to tackle each faction, and yes, that does include the bots. Terminids are probably the best enemy to use the armored spearhead against. They are squishy, numerous, and all of their side objectives can be destroyed using our mech suits. Plus, with the way bug breaches work, you can always concentrate absurd amounts of firepower as soon as they crawl out of their holes. The Patriot can shred through chaff with its minigun, and its rockets work extremely well against their armored units, taking out Chargers and Battle Titans with just 2 rockets to the face. Plus, they stagger them, making it easier for your AT guy to land a follow-up shot. Conserve your ammo by firing your minigun in short bursts to clear those fast movers, or aim for weak spots on Alpha Commanders and Bile-Spewers. You can also fire 1 rocket into the leg of a Charger to strip off its armor and then shred that exposed meat with your minigun. Impalers can be killed in 1 rocket like I mentioned earlier, but only if you hit them in the sweet spot, which is right here on their forehead. If you don't have time to line up that shot, fire 1 rocket and finish them off with the minigun. The minigun can take down their structures as well, but the Emancipator is much better suited for tackling side objectives and bug holes. Those 4 beautiful autocannons on the Emancipator are also a lot more effective at clearing hordes than I initially expected, so you don't need to lay on the trigger when fired into the chitinous hordes. Instead, fire single shots or 2 to 4 round bursts. Only lay on the trigger if it's truly a target-rich environment or you really need a big bug dead in a hurry. I managed to get some pretty ridiculous kill streaks by doing this, since the AoE damage from the autocannons is enough to paste anything hunter-sized or smaller without even feeling the sweet kiss of that 40mm cannon round. Dealing with big targets is pretty straightforward. You just lay into their face and they'll keel over. For Chargers, you can still get a mobility kill by blasting their leg off. Some divers like aiming for the head, but I found that leg shots are a lot more consistent, especially at close range. Our Helldivers on the flanks are going to want to run weapons that can assist with the horde clear to prevent our mechs from needing to fire all of their ammo into a single bug breach. We have 12 mechs to work with, but without our infantry supporting them, they'll quickly run out of ammo, get surrounded, or just get run over by a charger. Primaries like the crossbow or eruptor can really help with popping those bile spears for our patriot or clearing out groups of warriors for our emancipator. These weapons also pair extremely well with the stalwart, which has become the premier chaff clear and support weapon across all fronts. If those ain't your style though, consider using something like the Liberator Carbine or Tenderizer with the Siege Ready armor passive and pair it with a grenade launcher or an autocannon, and you'll get similar results. Round out the build with some thermites, an orbital barrage like the 120, 380, gas strike or orbital napalm, and an eagle of your choice. And you'll be able to clear a path and secure the flanks for your armored assault. But really, it's up to you. Just make sure you can support that armor. The squad leader is really going to want to bring either the recoilless rifle or EATs, because you'll want your team to have the ability to instantly shut down a big bug. Thermites are great for chargers, but they do their work slowly, whereas an AT round to the face is an instant ticket to the great refinery in the sky. They also want to pack a few sentries to shut down any incoming patrols and to add some consistent firepower to the rest of the squad. Think of sentries like adding a temporary Helldiver to your roster, or at least one with a very lax view on trigger discipline. These can be very dangerous for your mech pilots though, so be careful with where you place them. That's it for the NIDs, so let's head to the bot front. The bots are the hardest front to make an armored assault work, mostly because of the tanks, cannon towers, and the big guns on the backs of the factory striders. These enemies can blow a hole clean through your armored support, so they'll need dedicated answers. Your mech can still be destroyed by enough rockets from like Devastators and the little guys, so you will need to use cover even while piloting your mech. But getting blasted by a cannon on a tank, tower, or strider is going to be the biggest threat to your piloting career. To solve this problem, we're going to lean on our infantry support. Instead of having just our squad leader lugging around the AT gun, we're going to add one additional diver on the flanks with a recoilless rifle or a spear. We also want to spread out our formation a little bit more than we did on bugs, so try to keep about a stratagem's throw worth of distance between you and your squad mates to avoid concentrating the fire of the bots. Once you've engaged the enemy, our Helldivers on the flanks will want to push forward while the mech and the squad leader hold their ground. This way you can pincer the bots and catch them in a crossfire. Our infantry with the spears and recoilless rifles want to make those towers, tanks, and striders their top priority, while leaving the hulks to our mechs. Everyone can contribute to general horde clear, but we do want our last diver really leaning into it. You can do this with the grenade launcher, which is my favorite despite it being criminally underrated, the airburst launcher, or the autocannon. We'll also need 2 of our infantry to bring shield relays. These are going to let your mechs stand and fight, or advance towards a new position. They only have a 75-second cooldown, so if you use them one at a time, they'll be up for pretty much the entire mission. Because our mechs are really only vulnerable when they're out in the open, we want to pick good places to fight and fortify them well, meaning we want to make use of emplacements, like the HMG or AT varieties. When there's a bot drop, call in your emplacements and then your shield relays to avoid smacking your shield with a hell pod, which yes, does do damage to them.
Oh,
Patriot. Not Patriot.
thank you, Imler. You just wrecked
Bunker
my
turret.
lawn chair.
And fire away until there's no more communism left on the field. For our flankers, you want something that can deal with rocket striders and devastators quickly, like the Diligence Counter Sniper, R63 Diligence, Jar 5 Dominator, Slugger, or the crossbow. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm just tired of this gun. The Jar 5, Slugger, and crossbow come packed with stagger and damage while still being pretty accurate, while our marksman rifles have the range and accuracy for picking off key targets quickly. But the most important thing is to stay spread out while still being in range to support your mechs as they push through the bot positions. Our armored assault is especially effective on missions where you're required to hold an objective against the bots, like the Spread Democracy or Gather the Minerals mission types. Between your emplacements, mechs, and shield relays, there is no amount of bots that will be able to push you off an objective once you're properly entrenched. You're only really vulnerable while moving between objectives, or if the bots decide to drop a frickin' factory strider right on top of your head.
Couldn't get into my
Where?
Oh, that's on top of me.
Oh my god, he's right.
So while on the move, keep your head on a swivel and look out for those threats before they become a problem. Communicate with your team about where you want to attack next, and if things start getting hairy, dig in with your stratagems and let the mechs do the heavy lifting. I'll be honest, y'all, I did not expect the mechs to do this well on this front, since even a couple of rocket devastators can do them in, but working together using our mechs, shield relays, and emplacements brought it all together. Just be sure your mech pilots use cover and only really let loose once they're safely behind a shield or something the bots can't shoot through. And you too can clear super for Helldives against the clankers with ease. Plus, it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Nope.
Just goodbye.
Finally, we have the Illuminate. Sweet Liberty, just release the rest of your damn autocratic intentions already. I am tired of massacring you and your thousands, you spineless cephalopods. This faction is very straightforward to deal with. As long as you have a Helldiver or two covering your mech, you really can't lose. The stratagems and weapons you bring don't really matter when you have 12 mechs to call in and only 4 enemy types to go against. Hell, you can even just step on the hordes of voteless for a long while before they eventually scratch your legs off. But this is the best faction to practice the tactics we've talked about so far, even if you're not bringing the mechs. Using that diamond formation to clear out the city streets and reacting to threats as they come in is extremely satisfying. So check out my ODST video if you'd like to see what a no-HUD, no-stratagem squad can do against the Illuminate with similar tactics. The only thing I'll mention here is that firing the Emancipators' autocannons at the city streets causes them to ricochet a lot. So instead of aiming for the ground like you do against the Terminids, try and land those Eagle sweat bottles directly on target. But y'all let me know if this more realistic approach to Helldiver combat was interesting. I know Helldivers 2 ain't a milsim, but there's always new ways to play. There's a ton of real-world military tactics that we can apply to our Helldiving, and some of them are really, really fun. But until next time, this is Commissar Kai, signing out.
Helldiver, where is my exosuit? Are you gonna do
See if
the
it's gonna
thing?
deploy or not. Yeah. Alright, hold on.
Alright, go
Do the thing, Imlet.
Anyways,
I might as well expect
rocket
it.
jump!
Oh, that was not a rocket jump!